fire in the sky. The long dead emptied from their graves. 2 days before fucking payday. It can only mean the dawning of Doomsday! Oh mercy, hold your babies close. Hello lovelies, I am the Fragnostic. Welcome back to the celebration of old school FPS ultra violence that we call Doomsday, as we resume our quarrel with Doom 2, Hell on Earth. Moving now through the mid-game with MAP16, the suburb, in which these bloody demons have well and truly got their feet under the table. Oh yeah, make yourselves at home, boys. Don't mind me. What rent you paying on this? About $1,000 a month. About that. It's prime location, isn't it? 5 minutes walk to town centre. Gated community. I mean, alright, there's nothing really left to do in town these days. Because you fucking killed everybody! But, you know, I'm sure there's still a McDonald's open. You never destroy all of them. What? You're not paying any rent? Nothing? You're on housing benefit? You mean to tell me you just floated down here to my country, my name's on the lease and everything, my country, and now you're living here rent-free, tax-free, free healthcare, trying to impose your dark religion on me and the great people of this glorious land and its various sacred institutions like roast dinners and the Queen and Doctor fucking Who, and never ever complaining at restaurants even if they literally shit in a bowl and chuck it in front of you while spitting in your wife's face because I'm a bloody Englishman and I've got more important things to be angry about. Like when a bus is 20 seconds late, yeah, but add all those 20 seconds up over a 5-year period and they're robbing us out of a fucking fortnight, aren't they? Thank you for that informative article, Daily Mail. Sharing that on Facebook without fact-checking any of it independently. And you've still got the gall to look me in the eyes when you're talking to me. Bloody immigrants coming over here from hell, eating our jobs, can't even walk outside your own home anymore without seeing one of them pinky bastards waddling down the road like he owns a fucking shop. Of course you can't call them pinkies anymore, can you? Can't have a bloody laugh and joke about anything nowadays because it's racist, or so says John Law and Tom Major up there in Downing Street. One foot on the neck of the British people and the other kicking all our bloody money in at the sea to pay for potholes in Zimbabwe. I'm taking my bloody country back with plasma and death, son. Who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Hitler? If you think we're on the run, I fucking see you, you spiky nonce. We are the boys who will stop your little game. We are the boys who will make you think again. Cause who do you think you are kidding, Mr. Hitler? If you think old England's done. I am going to come clean now. I've got some of the crazy out my face. I'm not actually commentating this episode of Doomsday in-game. Yes, it was I. It was a ruse from the very beginning, from the very 3 minutes of your life. 3 precious minutes in the thrall of a lie, of a deception. No, I actually played the maps for this week's episode. Well, last week's episode, it's a week late. Naughty, naughty. I actually played the maps for this week's episode the day after I came back from holiday, when I still had a terrible hacking cough. Absolutely godless fucking thing it was. It was part of an epidemic in the county that I lived in, this cough, and it was in the papers, but the doctors couldn't treat it with anything, and it could last up to a month or so. I mean, that wasn't the case with me, thankfully, but for a few days when I came back, everybody had it. Everybody in the area was down with this fucking plague, and you went out, you went to town, it was like being in bloody Star Wars. You're on an alien planet where the native race communicated by wheezing and hacking phlegm into each other's faces. Impossible to decode, all conversation abandoned. I don't think I heard a single syllable of any actual recognisable language for days, so much like the Tomb Raider Tuesday episode I put out just after I got back, I'm just sat here with a couple of beers that I accepted as payment for playing IT support to my friend's laptop at 1 AM the other night. And I'm talking you through this shit all backwards looking like. what's the word? Contemplatively, pensively, retrospectively, that's the bastard. Nodgecock, that's another solid word. It's Tudor for simpleton. You're welcome. If you're going to be in the Holy Crusade, lovelies, it's not going to be all me teaching you how to spin your sword around like a badass and jumping out at casual litterers in full body armor. You got to carry yourself like a true warrior of the celestial light, and that means taking your elocution lessons with me once a week to learn how to just brutalize evildoers with old school English insults. You gotta bellow some harrowing shit before you drive your sword through the malignant arse potato they call a face. I don't write the rules, lovelies. Take it up with Noah, or whoever's been covering for God lately, doing a fuck awful job of it. So, this week's homework is to use the word nodgecock in a sentence, report back to this video, and let me know the reaction. Kinda like Fight Club, where Edward Norton's imagination tells everybody to go out and start a fight. Now, I don't want you to do that. Don't go mad, or YouTube will demonetize my videos for inciting mass violence. Just call somebody a nodgecock, and then if they swing first, well, you're only defending yourself, and I'm in the clear. Let me know as well how nodgecock comes off in whatever accent you happen to be rocking. Some might be less effective than others. You know how with an American inflection, cool naughty swears like asshole and cocksucker come off better? Yeah, I take a regular coffee to go. You cocksucking asshole! But then in that same accent, the word cunt just loses all of its steam. You're a real cunt, buddy. Sounds endearing.
Happy birthday, my little cunt.
You need a good, strong English shove behind that one. You stupid cunt! That's the ticket. That's the Death Star firing on full beam. I'll kick you in the cunt in a minute! Wanker's another one. Can't beat that in Cockney. Darwin, you wanker! That's what we used to shout at him in the streets. He said we were descended from apes, you see. And we don't take kindly to that sort of godless drivel here in England. And now he's got his own building in the Natural History Museum. Disgraceful. Who's getting one next? Idi Amin? I've been meaning to burn down that temple of lies for a while now. Everything's made of fucking bones in there, isn't it? Nothing flammable. Health and safety. Shielding this country from the rightful wrath of the Lord. Bring back mass deforestation. That's what I say. I think overall, nodgecock is going to sound best in Australian. It's a very Australian sounding word. Get out the road, you bloody nodgecock! Yeah, that's perfect, isn't it? You're not going to beat that. I remember one time when me and my brother were kids, and we were stuck around my nan's flat while my mum went to work, and we were sat there watching this marathon of god-awful fucking Australian soaps. Now this was before the days of TiVo and Sky Plus, so my nan would set the VHS recorder up every morning to come on and record every boring bastard Australian soap opera that was gonna be on. And they were fucking endless. Neighbours, Home and Away, All Saints, Pacific Drive, Blue Heelers, Heartbreak High, Water Rats, Jesus Christ. And that's before you figure all the English soaps in that she used to watch as well. I don't know if you've ever tried to watch 3.5 hours of Australian melodrama in one sitting, but from what I remember, it's a pretty reliable way to fool your brain into thinking you're dead. I stopped breathing 10 minutes into Home and Away. My lips went blue. I had to resurrect myself by biting into a lamp cord. And there was one episode, right? I'm pretty sure it was All Saints because it was set in a hospital where they had to treat a guy who had Tourette's syndrome, right? Which isn't funny. It's not funny. It's dead unfortunate, but like, because this fucking show aired in the middle of the afternoon, they couldn't have him screaming savage obscenities at everybody. So, he's laid up in this bed with a broken leg, can't remember why. Probably ticked in the wrong drunk's face. And the nurse comes in to do his bloods and that. And he goes, I'm not great with needles. Fellatio! Fuck. fucking fellatio. He shouts as loud as he can fucking manage. And, my nan just shat herself and went for the remote with the most bloody gust I've seen in her for years. Oh, she's a big lady, my nana. Used to be a lot bigger back in those days too, but she went flying across to that coffee table like fucking Blanca going for his ground shaver. So yeah, short story long, I had a cough, and that's why I'm drinking and talking absolute bloody nonsense over Doomsday this week. Like a podcast, like a really shit podcast. You've waited fuck knows how long for a new Doomsday. You've been patient and understanding, and this shambolic performance is your reward. I mean, not the gameplay. I'm absolutely murdering it here. This is the best I think I've ever seen myself play. It was the cough. It wasn't a cough at all. It was a fucking Sumerian rage demon that possessed me and channeled my anger into sheer hate-filled ability. Only explanation. Because the cough was an epidemic here in Essex, but I caught the fucking thing while I was in Cornwall. So only I could catch a local plague while I'm 350 miles away from the bastard. Classic me. Classic God pulls his drawers down and lines up a trick poo to stripe fraggers down the fucking muzzle, that is. Now you might wonder aloud, fraggers, why are you prattling on about your minor ills and woes instead of talking about Doom 2? And that's a fair question, so I'll give you a fair answer. The simple fact is that this is exactly the part of the game that I find to be a tedious slog. This whole kind of middle 7 or 8 maps just really doesn't do nothing for me. Only really picks up again on the last stage that you see on this video, MAP16, gotcha. So I'll commentate that one with at least some sort of coherency, I guess, but for now, I don't really care about what's happening. It gets better in the final third of the game with lots of fast, nasty, bloody stages to barrel you through to your ultimate showdown with the icon of sin, but these city levels send me to fucking sleep, man. So, much like the Tomb Raider Tuesday episode turned podcast, I'm going to take this opportunity to answer me some questions. And we'll actually start with some Doom related ones, because in the last episode of Doomsday, I sketched out a shit hot Doom movie, more or less off the top of my head. Everybody said they'd pay money for it, so now the next step is simply making it. I mean, that's not going to be a big deal and cost a lot of money, right? How do films get made now? Do you still pray real hard to the movie fairy and she snaps a magic clap aboard and that shit just ends up in cinemas with all the money in your current account? Or did somebody kill the movie fairy? Which one of those coke-snorting bastards did it? Was it Michael Bay, Roland Emmerich, M. Night Shyamalan? Which one made the movie that made her wings fall off? Keep your ears to the ground, lovelies. There's a revenge killing waiting for the right answer. Anyway, I got a very thorough comment in response to my pitch for my Doom movie from channel regular Emperor's Fist that I promised back then to properly answer in this very episode, and lovelies, I am a sociopath of my word. Admittedly, to keep my word, I had to go back and re-watch the video for myself because I'd completely forgotten literally everything there was to forget about the story I came up with. I do that all the time, especially when I'm asleep. I'll dream up amazing movies, wake up, and then just sort of lie there in vain for 10 minutes trying to claw their precious money-making details out of the vanishing REM ether of my brain before I give up and force myself into the shower. But I have the comment here, and Emperor's Fist opens with, "I like your draft of a Doom movie." And I mean, that's a great opening line, you see, because it makes me want to read more good things about myself. But I don't know if it's really so easy to make a Doom movie. There are, I think, a few things one must decide. And he's not wrong, folks, even on a basic level. And I'm not being sarcastic at all. Failure to decide anything at all is what led to the Resident Evil movies being completely fucking unwatchable. Failure to decide who the fuck was going to direct or even write the Super Mario Bros. Movie, even while it was being made, had what you might politely call a negative effect on the production. So it's important not to overlook the most basic of thought processes when making your Doom movie. On this we agree. Now the first point is, what tone will the movie take? The more action / horror / bloodbath tone of Doom 1/2/2016? Or survival horror bloodbath of Doom 3 / ROE? ROE being Resurrection of Evil, Doom 3's expansion pack for those not in the know. Well, I think Doom has always worked best as an action-fueled bloodbath because that is what it was originally conceived as. Speaking frankly, on Doom 3, did it really feel like a Doom game? I mean, sure, it had Doom's monsters, it had Doom's setting and history and plot thematics and weapons and whatever else you can name, but none of it really gelled for me. It was like putting a double XL trench coat on a horse jockey. You had all the skin work there, but shit, when you have a series of games where the primary established mechanic is to kill sometimes hundreds of monsters very quickly in a claustrophobic environment while making as much of a damn mess as your heart tells you to, having to stand around fumbling about like grandma at the bank, deciding whether you're gonna have your flashlight or your pistol out at any given moment. I mean, does that sound like Doom to you? Inventory management? Is that a keystone of the fucking franchise? Not really. Doom 3 to me is like, I don't know, Mega Man Soccer, or Super Puzzle Fighter, or that Uncharted card game that got brought out. Metroid Prime Pinball, Chocobo Racing. It's a spin-off. It's a reversal of what made the original games popular. And not awful. So, I mean, as a Doom fan, I definitely wouldn't want to make Doom 3 the movie, for the simple reason that I dislike it. And as a filmmaker, I would find it incredibly frustrating spending 2 hours hiding cacodemons in the shadows when they should be blasting the fear piss out of people. But then that's not to say that I'd just CGI the shit out of everything and sell the soundtrack down the river to some waste of fucking dick-skinned screamo band either. If I had to throw you 3 basic ingredients into a bucket for the kind of movie I'd make, you'd get Evil Dead, Aliens, and I don't want to say Event Horizon, that's heavily implied by the first 2 ingredients. Apocalypse Now, yeah. Extreme bloody violence, tempered by atmospheric, well-paced set pieces, and a steadily encroaching bleakness that feels like it's descending further and further into just the most outlandish, feverish fucking lunacy the further you get into it. I hate to keep bringing up Resident Evil movies because honestly, they make me want to drink heavily and fight people. But you know how their basic premise is that they inhabit a universe where nobody's allowed to do anything if it isn't in excruciating slow motion and it's not backed by the kind of bargain basement, artistically bankrupt hard rock score that they used to cook up for like 90% of the WWF roster back in the day. I don't know if that's changed any. I haven't really watched wrestling for years now, but you know the kind of shit I'm getting at. I would have a policy whereby producers who tried to place that sort of filmmaking method into my movie would be crucified on the giant H of the Hollywood Hills and then flayed alive as an example to others who would dare visit my set. Everything would be practical effects wherever possible. That T-Rex from the first Jurassic Park back in 1993 still looks infinitely better than whatever the fuck was chasing Chris Pratt around in the latest one. I want my actors to fucking despise me after a day of shooting. I want them to develop screaming fits in the night from being trapped inside mechanical cacodemon puppets for hours on end. No, you can't fuck with practical effects. But you know, one of the worst kept secrets in horror is that your monster loses its fear factor as soon as you give it a full reveal on screen. Now, that's considered common knowledge, but I'll tell you something that I've cottoned on to the deeper I've immersed myself in the genre and taken the odd stab at writing it over the years, is that it's not your monster that's scary. It's your emotional and physical proximity to it. It's a situation that's scary. Like, let's take a very basic example of this, okay? You go to the zoo and you approach the lion enclosure. Now, at this point, you're not afraid of the lion. It's in full view, nothing hidden, you're safe. Now, let's say I turn out the lights in the lion enclosure somehow and you can't see it anymore, but you know it's in there. Still safe to say that you're probably feeling pretty good about your chances of survival. But now I'm going to take the walls of the enclosure away and watch you run for your fucking life. Yeah, you don't like that lion no more, do you, boy? You don't want to tap on that glass no more. And you see, even at that rudimentary level, you can understand why a lot of horror movies manage to get it so wrong, because the fundamental rule that they fail to abide by is that while horror might be subjective, fear certainly isn't. Fear has conditions, regardless of what you personally shit your pants over. It's a simple case of taking the element of control away from your protagonist that creates tension. And that's really how I would handle it in a Doom movie. You know, I'm not gonna make a Doom movie and hide the fucking monsters. I talked about the beginnings of a scene where our heroes are trying to penetrate the research facility through a sewer, and that's where I'd introduce the world at large to the horny beauty of the cacodemon. Well, you have this gang of tough guys scrambling around in the wet and the dark, their boots splashing heavily in the dirty water. Now, let's think about this. Wouldn't that be a great dynamic to use in this scene? Because, of course, cacodemons can fly, so they wouldn't be making any noise at all as they slowly floated towards the group, except for barely contained grunts and wheezing moans. And I'll play this out for you because, better than anything, this would answer exactly the tone I'd be going for here. So, splash, 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 splosh, splosh, stop! Stop, 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 stop. What the fuck was that? And they stop. All of them stop. And they listen. Nothing. What? Now you can hear the steady, ambient dripping of the pipes. Gentle swirl of water settling. Nothing else. And then from far, far away, a low howl. Barely a fully formed sound from the amount of echo is gathered from the walls, and the group suddenly turn to stare down this long, black passageway. No end to it. Just leads into nothingness. They're down here. Son of a bitch, they're down here too. This seething, grinding noise bounces from not much closer in an opposite passageway, but still definitively closer. We need to get the fuck out of here now. Move quietly. We'll hear them coming in the water. Go. And one of the group turns to lead the way, his flashlight spinning 180 degrees through the darkness, immediately illuminating the cacodemon that has silently floated up right behind them, and its mouth unhinges with a full cinema quality blast scream and turns the poor bastard into red paste with its electric blast. Now that's the mood I'm going for. Next point from Emperor's Fist. How will hell look like? Doom 1/2 version, or the more hellish one from Doom 3/ROE. Hellish being in inverted commas there to illustrate that Doom 3's hell is far more of a traditionally Judeo-Christian based one by design. At least from a purely physically thematic standpoint anyway. It's very volcano layer, Doom 3's hell. It's very Bond. Bond goes to hell! Very 50s televangelist fire and brimstone, whereas the original Dooms went in for a lot of meat on the walls, weird eyeball switches, generally more of a repulsive kind of body horror theme about the place. I guess it'd be a lot closer to the Doom 1/2 depictions of hell, simply because I wouldn't show hell itself, hell central, whatever you want to call it. What you'd see is Mars being consumed by the effects of the hell dimension, so it would really be military bases and buildings that are fast succumbing to its taint the longer they spend inside of it. And you know, in the games, that meant walking through a lot of inverted crosses, candlesticks, religious imagery. I'm not sure I'd really want to go that far, just because the idea of there being candles in hell is hilarious to me. The whole concept of the devil micromanaging the interior design of his land of torture is hilarious to me, so I guess you'd only start to see a real change in scenery towards the last 20 minutes or so of the movie. I wouldn't want it to be that damn pink though. It's quite pink in a lot of places in the game. I'd probably stick the look of the place, artistically speaking, somewhere in the kind of oil on canvas romantic movement, sort of tonally somewhere around The Bark of Dante by Eugene Delacroix, and decorated with some of Francis Bacon's more fucked up work. Little Goya in there too. Little Goya never hurt anybody. Why am I talking about classical art to you on a fucking Doom video? Do you, look, I'm not here to insult your intelligence, lovelies. I hope you are into classical art as much as I am, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just having a real hard time thinking of a movie or a game-based hell that's anywhere near what I'm thinking of here. Google any of these paintings and you'll see what I'm talking about. Study after Velázquez's portrait of Pope Innocent X by Francis Bacon. Check that monstrosity out and you see what I'm getting at. Some real haunted shit. I'm walking into a haunted house and by the time you reach the other end it's a burial ground made of necrotized lungs. That's what I want my hell to look like. Or the section of hell from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride in Disneyland. In fact, yeah, forget all that shit I said before. I'm just gonna rip off Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. You know the best bit about that? You know the greatest thing about that ride? Because this deeply affected me when I went on it as a kid, really. This was incredibly important in the formation of how I came to be the psychological aberration that I am today. So, for those of you who know nothing about Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, it's a dark ride, which in theme park nerd terms, because yes, I am also a massive theme park nerd, can't wait until my kids get a little older so I can carry on being one without it being too fucking weird. A dark ride is exactly what it sounds like. An indoor ride themed with animatronics, models, lights, smoke, you know. Most fairground ghost trains qualify as dark rides. It's a Small World qualifies as a dark ride. Sounds like a pornography term, or the finishing move of a pro wrestler is a guided indoor ride, usually set to scenes and special effects. So, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride pops you in Mr. Toad's car from Wind in the Willows. And let me tell you, this son of a bitch is ready to put some lives at risk. You're tearing through your own damn house, out into the countryside. You're aiming the hood ornament at farmers, cops, smash into a bar, just start wheel spinning around like... Mr. Toad has clearly received some bad news from the doctor about that cough he's had for a while, and he's down for taking as many of you screaming motherfuckers with him as he can. I mean, in reality, you're doing 5 miles an hour tops, but anyway. Eventually, you wind up in a courthouse, and the judge throws the book at you, if you bullshit. He sends you to hell. Doesn't just sentence you to death, skip straight over that shit. Death ain't enough for you, Toad. So, you drive through hell, and there's fire, and brimstone, and demons, and all of that, right? And then the ride ends, and you just come out the other side, back into the brightly lit lobby they've dressed up as Toad Hall. You get out, you go ride something else, or buy a stuffed toy for $70, depending on how much Disney magic you've currently got in your veins. Now, after I got off that ride, I spent pretty much the rest of the day feeling deeply concerned about the finale to it because, essentially, you never leave hell. You're in the middle of it, and then it's all over, and you're back in the park. So, I got to thinking that, sure, everything looks the same out here as when I went in, but what if it's not? What if I'm still in hell, and this is all just an illusion made to trick me? Because we never came out of hell, Mom! And she's like, Rob, shut up, eat your chips. Are they chips, Mum? Are they really? And I still catch myself thinking about that from time to time, even as an adult. What if you go into Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and you never really come out? Childhood memories, lovelies. Childhood memories that no psychiatrist has truly been able to unravel. But let's move on to Emperor's Fist's third question, and it's an important one to be sure. Who will form the cast? Who is fucking awesome enough to play Doom Guy? Are they even born yet? Will they ever be? And you have to get this right, there's no negotiation on that. The rest of the movie could be absolutely amazing, but if you don't cast and script a perfect Doom Guy, well, you might as well take all the footage, wipe your ass on it, and release it into theaters as Some Shit I Ruined Like an Idiot, featuring my own shit. It gets standing ovation at Sundance, but nowhere else. So, to start by dodging your question completely, I'd try for somebody almost completely unknown because I'm not about to cast Tom fucking Cruise as the most awesome space marine ever. It's gonna be the sort of role where you need someone to come in with no prior stereotype. Excuse me just a second, lovelies. Someone's texting me here. What? Why the fuck are they texting me at this time of the bloody night? It's a dog shelter. As we've recently decided to get a dog, right? Well, Mrs. Fraggers has recently decided to get a dog and let me pay for it. And I have a thing about breeders and people who advertise their pets online, as in, I don't fucking trust any of them, so one of my conditions was that we adopt one from a shelter, right? For lots of reasons. Main one being that they're less likely to lie to you about whether or not the dog you're adopting might probably eat your kids. Now that pops them up to the top of the list for me. So, we've been nosing around on these shelters' websites for dogs she likes the look of. And literally every time we find one that doesn't look like it's had its face remodeled with a power sander, we call up and the fucking thing's been gone for weeks. None of these bloody places ever update their websites or their blogs or nothing. And then they start trying to sell you other dogs. Oh, we got one that kind of looks like that one. I don't want one that kind of looks like that one. I want that dog. Not after a similar model. I'm buying a pet to love and cherish. I'm sizing up a potential new member of my family. I'm not buying a fucking SCART lead off of you. I'll tell you what it is, right? I figured this out slowly over the past couple of weeks. Or however long we've been pissing around with this now. All the cute dogs, or the photogenic dogs on those websites, they don't exist. Shelters never had them. You run a reverse search on their pictures in Google, and just come up with a stock photo of a Labrador. They're just there to lure you in and guilt you into buying an older, uglier dog that'll shit on your bed and eat your food when you're not looking. They're display models. Can't have them. Not for you. I don't even want the fucking thing I've been dragged into this. I don't hate dogs or animals or anything like that, but oh god, you'd understand if you had kids. It's just something else running around in there, isn't it? Something else taking up more fucking floor space. And now I've got to go out, put a new gate up because the old one's too short. Doesn't have a weekend gone up to builders merchants, pissing around with that. I tell you, lovelies, don't go in for this starting a family business. Trust your old pal Fraggers. Die alone. It's fucking easier. Anyway, Doom Guy actors. Now, as I say, I would much rather go with an unknown, but if the studio were pissing down my neck about hiring an actual name for the role, I would go with somebody like Josh Brolin. I think Josh Brolin could pull it off like a motherfucker. Or Nicolas Cage. Oh dear God. Can you imagine the death threats I'd get? Nicolas Cage is Doom Guy. Firing his plasma rifle. Laughing like all the bolts came loose at once in his head. I can think of literally nobody else. Of course, I could just troll the shit out of all of you, cast it as Doom Woman. I'll do a Metroid-style reveal at the end of the movie. Doom Guy will take off his helmet, and it'll just be fucking Amy Adams under there or some shit. Yeah, Amy Adams! That's who I'm casting. I guess I couldn't really say who else would be in the running for the rest of the Survivor group because honestly, the entire outline of the movie was off the top of my head, and I'd honestly want a chance to try and define some of their characters and personalities first, but I can tell you this much, all my monsters are going to be practical effects, so Andy Serkis can run his King Kong Lord of the Rings motion capture bullshit on down the road. Not in my fucking film, you don't, Serkis! We make pictures the old way here. Well, this has been a riot. Managed to ruin another fucking video talking about nothing. But let's try again next week, lovelies, when we move through map 21 to map 25 inside hell proper. Be excellent to each other, lovelies. Party on.
prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.
Ready!